Chris Heller, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Looking forward to the conversation.
I appreciate it. Chris, you had a very successful career in the real estate industry. You led and you are leading impressive companies. But I want to hear from you, what do you consider the best way to do a summary of your career, right? You did so many things that I wouldn't know where to get started. But if you can tell us a little bit of your career and what do you do today at OJO Labs, that will be great for the audience.
Sure. I started as a real estate agent. Was rookie of the year. My first year, sold 27 homes in San Diego. That business kept growing, and as it grew, I needed more help, and so I added people to help me. Now that's called a real estate team. Back then, there was no concept of real estate teams. Eventually, after 28 years of being one of the top agents in the country and actually the #1 agent for the largest company in the world, I took an executive role and became the president of the worldwide division of that company and helped them launch that company globally. And that was Keller Williams Realty. And I started Keller Williams in over 20 different countries around the world, and that was a very successful endeavor. I then was asked to become the CEO of the whole company, and did. After spending, after spending almost 14 years at the company, I left, joined the second largest non-bank lender in the US, which is called Loan Depot, and became the CEO of their sister company called Mellow Home. All along, I've been very involved in the technology side of our industry, and had invested in some different companies and advising different companies, on the board of a few companies. One of those companies was a company called OJO Labs in Austin, Texas. And so in 2019, I joined them in a full-time capacity, and I'm the president of that company. OJO owns a search portal, the largest privately owned search portal in the country, called Movoto.com, where we have millions of consumers that are coming to that site each day. And we introduce those consumers to real estate agents and lenders who can help them with their real estate and mortgage needs. And that's the primary business that we're in.
Amazing story. And I follow you on LinkedIn, and I love your posts. I love how you talk about your story, and also how you talk about some of the values that you think are more important to get there, right? And I will ask you a little bit about that. But first, I would like to ask, did you always think you were going to work in real estate? How did that happen? How did you become an agent?
No, I never, that was never the plan. When I was very young, as a child, I wanted to be a professional athlete, but never grew to the right size or the right skill set to be able to fulfill that dream. While I was in college, I took a summer job in a sales position, and which was really unusual when I look back, because I was very shy and very introverted, but I excelled in sales, and had met a real estate broker who for 3 years recruited me to come into the business, sending me note cards, calling me every time he'd see me, he'd try to, and finally, after 3 years, he caught me in what I would call a weak moment, and I said, okay, I'll give it a try.
Why were you saying no in the first time? You were saying no, and he kept going like 3 years.
I didn't know. I didn't know what a real estate agent really did. I didn't really understand the business. I was working and owned a marketing company, and and growing, and I knew that, and that's what I was focused on. So it wasn't anything specific that I had against real estate. I just didn't know didn't know what it was. But I'm thankful that he was persistent and kept after me.
Very nice. And when you say professional athlete, any specific sports or?
When I was in ninth grade, we had to go into the guidance center, and I think they gave us some like assessments, and then the guidance counselor said, "What do you want to be? What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, "A professional athlete." And then she said, "Well, what type?" I said, "Football, baseball, or basketball." You know.
Nice, very nice. What does it take to be a successful real estate agent, right? You got started, the broker finally got you there, and you started selling homes, right? But what is most important to be able to get that done?
Yeah, I think what it takes to be successful as an agent is very similar to what it takes to be successful at anything. And that is, you have to be willing to put in the work. Now, a lot of people work hard, doesn't mean they're going to be successful, but I don't know people that are successful without working hard. So that's definitely a prerequisite. The other thing is, developing the skills. Some people are more gifted with a great personality or high energy or any of those things, but those things will only take you so far. And then skills become very, very important. The other pieces that that are just necessary ingredients to be successful is mindset. Having the right mindset, and having a strong mindset. And by strong mindset, I mean, being resilient and being and creating discipline in different areas of your life, in different areas of your work day, so that you can actually do the things that are necessary to do and do the activities that are necessary to do to achieve the success that you want to achieve. It also goes without saying, but I'll say it anyways, that you also have to have goals, and you have to have a plan to achieve those goals, and then you have to have the discipline to follow that plan on a daily basis. So those are some of the success ingredients that I think are pretty universal.
Very good. And when you talk about that mindset, I've read you talk about fear and the fear that exists today in the industry, and the antidote to that, which is courage, right? Will you say that that part of that mindset is the courage to look at opportunities, look at challenges and find the opportunities? Was that something very special for you as you were growing up?
Yeah, I think I've always look, everyone has fear, right? It's how you react to it. My reaction is to move through it very fast, like to run at it, because I don't like it. I want to deal with it and get through it. Other people get paralyzed by it, or avoid it, or have a very a methodical way of approaching it. So and not one's, I don't know that one's good or bad or better or worse. It's just, that's what works for me. And so developing that courage and developing the confidence, and and confidence can help develop the courage. And how do you develop confidence? You develop confidence by getting good and practicing and developing more skills, which then builds that confidence, which sometimes I think makes it easier to be more courageous. I actually wrote a book called Dominant Thoughts, and that book is all about mindset and how do you develop a strong mindset. But yeah, I think in whether it's tough economic times or changes or any personal things you go through, mindset is so important in determining the outcome. Is it, are you gonna come out better on the other side, or not? When you get knocked down, do you stay down or do you get up? Those I think in business, and certainly in real estate as a business, I really believe 90% of what it takes to be successful is mindset. So, which was back to your first question, which I don't know why I left off mindset, but that should have been part of the answer too.
Oh, that it was the third one.
Okay.
What was the biggest challenge that you faced? If you look back at your career, one that maybe it was like, oh, that was a big blow, and I'm happy that I was able to get up and keep going.
Yeah, look, there were challenges, you know, on a daily and sometimes hourly basis. Like whenever the more you're trying to do, the more challenges you'll be faced with. But if you're talking about really big challenges and setbacks, you know, that as I mentioned right before I got into real estate, I owned a marketing company, and I was very young, and I owned it with a partner. And my partner sort of went off the deep end with drugs and alcohol, and it was, you know, I was in my 20s. I didn't have the business maturity or the tools to really deal with that effectively. So it was really hard to deal with. You know, ultimately it led to the end of the company, and I had to, you know, go into work one day and tell the 30 people working there that they should go home because they're not going to get paid anymore, and that, you know, we're done. I had everything was in my name, all of the bills and everything else, and so I had to, you know, I had to work through a really challenging situation. So that was one. You know, it was more on the personal side, but certainly impacted business. Was when, you know, my wife of 19 years, you know, decided she didn't want to be married anymore to me. You know, so those are, you know, big things, but there's, yeah, there's challenges. There's, you know, legal stuff happens, people quitting, you know, things that don't go well with clients, right? Unless you're doing nothing, you will have challenges,
Yeah.
and life happens. So it's not even really what they are. It's how we react to them that determines everything.
Very good. I appreciate you sharing those experiences. Let's go back to when you started getting successful as a real estate agent, and then you needed to build a team, right? And then it was no longer about just you and how successful you were listing homes and getting homes sold, but also how you were leading a team of people that were going to do the same thing you were doing. How did you feel through that change, and what does it take to lead a successful team of real estate agents?
Yeah, I mean, early on, I probably didn't do it well because you know, I didn't have any experience, and I had no one. I didn't have any role models or coaches or mentors or those things. So it was really a necessity, right? I couldn't, after my first year, I realized I couldn't work any more or any harder than I had. Like I literally worked as long as hard as any human could work. And so the only way I knew I could do more the next year would be if I hired someone to do some of the things I was doing to free me up to be in front of more buyers and sellers. And so the team just grew out of the need to be able to continue to do more and help more people. Once you have people that are working with you or for you, you know, then then the challenges then become being a great leader, and how do you do that? And like I said early on, I was a horrible leader. But you know, you learn from your mistakes, and then at some point, you know, I consciously made the decision, I need to be great at this. You know, if I'm gonna lead, I have to be really good. You know, and then I just worked at it, you know, and read and still read, you know, a ton of books and expose myself to people that are great leaders, so that I can learn from them and be mentored by them. And I've been fortunate to have a lot of great mentors in my life.
Very nice. Mentors and surrounding yourself with great people. You also talk a lot about that, and you talk about people that give you energy and how important that is, right? How do you find them? How do you find and keep close to those people?
So, there's, I think you tend to attract people based on your energy, and you tend to attract people that are like you. And so, it's really being aware of, what type of energy you're bringing and who you are, and how you're being. And when you're aware of that too, you're more conscious of who you spend time with. So
Right.
I was always very focused on, being around people that, or who, let me say this way, I was focused on who I was around and who I was spending time with, because I wanted to be with people that, I could grow with, I could learn from, or I could help, or I could profit with. Those were the things that I focused on. And then always trying to find people that were doing more or better than me, so that I could learn from them. I've always been learning based, and always will be. This is, who I am. I'm always looking to get better and improve. Probably because I'm never satisfied. So and so that pushes me to keep seeking out, people that are doing more. As far as, the energy comment you made, it's, in every interaction, you either get energy from it, or it takes energy from you.
Yeah.
And so being aware of, who are the people that give you energy, and who are the people that suck the energy from you, and then, limiting the exposure to those and increasing your exposure to the ones where when you're around them, you feel better, and you're energized.
Very good. You also talk about, I read one of your posts, you were saying, when you were learning with that first broker, and then the two things you realize will lead you to success is doing what you said you will do and telling the truth. And then you start talking about integrity, right? And how important that is. How hard or not hard is it for you to find people with that integrity, and why do you think it matters?
It's harder than it should be, unfortunately. I think, like, the most important person that we have to worry about is the person in the mirror. And so, our personal integrity is the most important thing. What you're referencing is early in my career, watching other agents, I observed that if I did what I say I was going to do, and if I just told the truth, I would be head and shoulders above most of the agents and most of the competition. And it doesn't mean that the others were lying necessarily, but they often wouldn't tell the client the truth. Like, if their house smelled, they wouldn't say, "Hey, your house smells. We need to fix
Right.
this." Or your collection of frogs all over your kitchen, we need to take those out if we're going to sell the house, or whatever it was. The integrity part, what you say you're going to do, having things be complete in your life, not have things undone or unsaid, or left undone. All those things are like invisible anchors, and more of those that have this, the slower you move, and the harder it is to climb the hills you want to climb. So, having integrity allows you to just to be much more free, and move quickly and more effortlessly, in the world. And that's an important thing. As far as other people, if you watch and pay attention and listen, people will always show you who they are. And I don't necessarily judge people based on who they are. I just make a decision. Is that the type of person I want to be around? Is that the type of person I want to be in business with? Is that the type of person, um, um, that I want to spend time with? Look at the answer is I won't spend time. I won't be in business. I won't, be around people that lack integrity.
Do you find were you always like this in terms of valuing integrity so much, or do you find that as you get older you have less patience for people with lack of integrity?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think at some level it was there. But I think it developed as I grew and as I aged and as I had more experience. Like, I had values that were there, that some of which have never changed. Others I've developed, and an awareness, right? I don't think there was an awareness when I was younger about it. So I think the awareness, and then I think those things have been further enhanced or grown or developed with time. And I think the thing that happens, as we get older, as we get more experiences, we get clearer on what's important. What's important to us, what's important in a job, what's important in a relationship, because you have experiences and you experience things that you don't like, and you learn what you don't like, and you learn more about what you do like, and those things, keep those lessons keep coming all the time.
Nice. You also talk about hard work. Do you think sometimes I talk to leaders in the industry, and sometimes just talking about hard work seems like a bad thing to say. It's kind of out of fashion. Do you think it's out of fashion? What are your thoughts there?
So I actually, last night I wrote about this because it was on my mind, and I posted it on social media, and in some of the groups that it showed up in on Facebook, it struck a nerve with a lot of people. And I was called names like oh, you're obviously just a baby boomer and you don't understand, and those things. So, I find it super interesting. Nor did I say this in my post at all. But I wasn't saying everyone has to work. What I was saying was, for the people who have goals and want to achieve those goals, it takes hard work, and you have to be willing to put it in. You can't have goals up here and effort down here.
Yeah.
You can, but you won't achieve them. So I think there is something I haven't thought about a lot, so I haven't probably figured this out yet. But there is an aversion that the younger generations have to hard work, and they have judgment about it. And it may be because they saw their parents, work so hard, and how that impacted their parents' lives or their relationship with their parents or the time the parents had for them. And maybe they're like, hey, I don't want to do that. That didn't look like very fun. And it's not fun. That's why they call it work. But and if you don't have big goals or want to achieve big things, then that's fine. You don't need to do it. And I'm be the last one to judge someone and whether they should or shouldn't do it. That's their personal decision. But yeah, back to your question, I think a lot of people have a lot of energy around the concept of hard work, doing what it takes to get what you want. And maybe people don't. Maybe younger generations don't want as much as maybe older generations. Maybe they've had it, and it was provided. I don't know.
It's weird. I was talking to a real estate, a leader in the real estate industry as well, and what she said was, she was using the phrase, you cannot have a millionaire's dream if you have a minimum wage work ethic, right? And there are different ways to read that, but we were talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
The way I see it, I see myself kind of a Gen X in the middle of everyone, right? And the way I see it is that we are polarizing concepts or talking about like a contradiction that to me doesn't really exist, because you can have work-life balance and work hard at the same time, right? I mean, I think you can have both. It's just a matter of how you organize yourself. But I don't know, I play drums, right? If I want to be good at playing drums, I have to do my rudiments. I have to spend 1 hour doing rudiments per day, or else I'm not going to be very good. I'm going to be like, yeah, so, right? Like
Yeah.
what you're saying. Every professional athlete knows that. Every, elite musician knows that. Every elite performer in any type of field knows that. But somehow we went so far on achieving work-life balance, which I think is okay, that then hard work kind of, like you said, you say something about that and everyone will jump on you. And I think that it's kind of, creating the wrong contradiction. But anyhow, I appreciate your words and I agree with you. I want to talk about opportunities. And you had a lot of opportunities. You created those opportunities for you. And I like how you talk about focusing on results to getting opportunities. But the question I have for you is the following. There must have been a point in your life where you had a lot of opportunities, right? How do you decide? How do you choose? Because you probably could have been a leader of a million companies, but you said yes to some and no to others.
Yeah, I think if you're in a position where you have a lot of opportunities, that means that you've gotten a lot of good results, right? That's where the opportunities come from. But once you get great results and then opportunities start to present themselves, Mateo, back to your question of, how do you choose? I sort of have a criteria that I developed and for myself, not for anyone else, but anyone is welcome to use it, but I'm not telling you to. The criteria is, first of all, I look at who I'm going to be doing something with. That's the most important thing. What is secondary? Who I'm working with, who I'm working for, who's working for me. That's the most important part for me, because that's going to determine, whether I can have fun in it or not. The what, hey, if you have the right people around you, the what becomes less important. If you focus on the what, like the opportunity of, oh, this is the biggest opportunity, the best role, or the biggest title, but you're surrounded by sharks or people you don't like or respect or trust, or people that don't trust or like or respect you, that's not, number one, it won't be sustainable. Number two, it's gonna be miserable at some point, if not all the time. So that's one of the things I look at when I'm looking at opportunities, like who is it that I might be spending time with, and then I look at the what, like, is it something I believe that we can win in, or that I can win in? Is there a path to winning? Is it something I believe in? All the money in the world is useless if you're doing something that you don't believe in or that you don't think you can win in, because again, it's not sustainable. The other things I look at is, I used to like to think that I had unlimited bandwidth, and maybe sometimes I still think that, but I know I don't. And so then I have to look at, and I also know that if I take on something or choose an opportunity, if I don't have the time and energy to put into it, it becomes a burden. And I don't want burdens. I don't want things that I'm carrying around that these have to things, or these things that don't feel good because I don't feel like I'm doing the things I should be doing. So those are some of the things I look at, in making those decisions. I think I'll add one more thing, and that is it impactful? Like I like to do whatever I do, I want to be able to make an impact one way or another.
I like your checklist very much. When you were getting in the real estate industry, what did you like most about that industry?
I think the number one thing I liked was that there was no limit, like there was no ceiling. That old saying, the sky's the limit. I used to say, no, the sky's not the limit, I'm the limit. There is no limit other than what I put on myself. And I really like that because that's not the norm, right? In most jobs or businesses or industries, there is an absolute ceiling or limit of where you can go or what you can achieve. But in real estate, that's not there. Look, I like how it feels when you do a service for someone and they're very happy with that, right? That's a great feeling. And to be able to help people and be the one to help them with something that's very important to them is very rewarding. I like that. I like the autonomy that I had in real estate. That's something that's important to me, and whatever I do is being able to be responsible for the results. And real estate certainly provides for that. So those were some of the things.
Very nice. And do you think those are still the same things that you like about the real estate industry today, or what flavor does the industry have today for you with everything that you have done? Right. I mean,
I think it's still. I think all those still hold true, right? It's different, right? How, like as an agent, if I were working as an agent today, I still own a real estate team that still operates in San Diego, California. But I don't work in it day to day. But if I was working as an agent, I'd be doing a lot of the same activities. A lot's changed, no doubt about it. Technology has caused a lot of changes, but none of that's bad. It's just different. You adjust and adapt and figure out how to use things to your advantage. But no, I think all those things hold true now as much as they did, a decade ago or 2 or 3 decades ago.
got it. Where do you think the industry is going?
Look, this is the industry I'm in, but I don't think where we're going is different from where a lot of industries are going, and that is there'll continue to be rapid change, and things will evolve at a faster and faster pace because technology advancements will continue to evolve at a faster pace, and technology causes and enables new behaviors, and new behaviors then impact what we do. For example, with when Amazon really became who Amazon is, we all got spoiled. Some people refer to it as the Amazon effect, where you get everything you want with a click of a button in one place, and that raised expectations. So in our industry, expectations keep getting higher and higher. So as practitioners in the industry, we have to keep up or learn how to exceed those expectations. That's the high level answer to the question. On a more tactical level, consumers are going to continue to have more and more options and optionality. Different ways of buying homes, different ways of selling homes, different ways of financing homes. And if agents aren't the ones that understand and can deliver those options, someone else will, a platform, a company, someone else. As the industry continues to come up with new ways for people to do things in quicker ways and easier ways and different ways and better ways, that the practitioners in the business will need to adapt and understand and be able to be the ones delivering those. If not, then their value will diminish.
Would that be your advice for anyone getting in the industry today, that need to invest in yourself to adapt to what is coming, to new technologies? What would be your biggest advice for someone listening that wants to go into the real estate industry?
Yeah, I think that would certainly be part of the advice. The other is, to get really clear on whether you should be a sole practitioner or be on a team, and what the difference is, and then choose whatever is best for you. But yeah, you want to you really want to focus, you really want to study consumer behavior and technology advancements so that you can be in tune with what's happening. And I haven't mentioned it, but I'm talking about it. It's things like with artificial intelligence. What is that going to enable people to do and consumers to do? And as an agent, what's it going to enable you to do? And how are you going to deliver value in a world where consumers have access to things that before you only had access to?
Yeah. Last question. What do you do when you are not working?
I like physical activity. So I like, hiking, walking, riding a bike, exercising, working out. I enjoy sports and sporting events. I enjoy music and concerts. Spending time with my wife, my kids, my friends. Those are the things I like to do. I'm pretty lonely.
It's the simple things in life that at the end of the day matter most, right?
Yeah.
Chris, this has been amazing. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here, and I hope that sometime we can do this again. But it's been an amazing time with you.
Thanks for having me on. I'm glad we're able to have the conversation, and hopefully for someone listening or watching, they'll get some value out of it.